Okay, everybody, so this time around, what we're going to be doing is setting up our player start so that we can have more players spawn into our level. So to do that, this one's going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more involved, so kind of buckle in here, but this one's going to take a little bit more time. To do this, first what we're going to want to do is we'll need to, well, let's see here. We'll probably want to make a couple changes to our world setting. And we may need to make these changes in our game mode as well. So let's just do it in both spaces. Right now we're using game mode CC. That's for our couch co-op. Our default pawn class is a third person character. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be making a new player controller here in just a second. And we're also going to need to switch this to none. So what that means is as soon as the game starts, we don't want it to automatically spawn in these characters because we may not have, 2, 3, or 4 characters. We may only have one. So we want to make sure we don't spawn anything in initially. And when we get the new player controller, we'll set this as well. So let's go into our content drawer real quick. Let's open up our game mode. And then in our game mode, let me go ahead and pull the details out over here. And looks like we have BP third person player controller. Yeah, we're going to change that later. But our default pawn class, yep, it is set to none. Good. Just want to make sure that's set here as well. Go ahead and compile that. And we're going to make a few little changes. So first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to be making a 1 to 4 person local multiplayer game. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to set this up so it can start spawning controllers and players for up to 4 people. So we're going to do a for loop, and we want to just get this for loop right here. Okay, and for the index, we want to start off at 0. So that's our first player. And then our last player, our 4th player, if we remember right, since we always start counting at 0, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So the last player, 4th player, will actually be index 3. Okay, and so that's our first step on this. And then we want to go ahead and make our player controller now. So I'm going to go back to our content drawer, right click in here. And we need to go to a blueprint class, and we're going to get this player controller. Okay, so this one's PC for player controller, and we'll do CC, so that's couch co-op. Okay, go ahead and go into our player controller here. And what we want to do is we're going to need to use our player controller for our start button, because our player controller should spawn in before our player does, and if not, we can always put that delay in there if we need to. And to do that, we're going to need to set up a new input action. So we got our player controller ready for that. Let's go back into our content drawer. We're going to go to content. More than likely, our input actions are under the third person character here. Let's see, where are input? Oh, input. It's going to be in the content folder under input, more than likely. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to actions. And here we have IA jump, IA look, mouse look, IA move. If we wanted to, we could just right click on one of these and duplicate it. And we'll change it over to IA join game. Okay. And from here, this is just kind of a title that helps organize things. And then we'll go back to our input, and we're using IMC default for all these. So we'll just double click on that. From here, we're able to see all of our mappings that we have so far. Excuse me. We have jump, move, and look. We're going to make a new one, and we're going to select join game, and then we'll hit the little drop down there. And we're going to add in 2 different pieces here. So we want to have join game for our keyboard. So on our keyboard, we're going to use enter for that one. And that's just really if we're going to use start if our character dies and they need to come back in, or for some reason they leave and then they want to get back in later, we need to give them an option for the keyboard. Now, if everybody's playing on controller, obviously that won't be needed, but we're going to have that available to them. And then we'll add in one more. That's going to be on our Xbox controller. So let's see, gamepad, let's just go with that. And we have all the controls here for our gamepad. and that's going to be our special right. That's going to be our start button that's on the right side of, in my case, this is going to be the start button on the right side of the Xbox 360 logo. And if you're working on one of the cable controllers, it should be the exact same. Okay, so that should be everything good there. We can go ahead and close this out. Nothing to really save there. Although I kind of want to go back and check it one more time. I think, yeah, we do have a save button, so go ahead and save that. Anything that has an asterisk next to it in here, we want to make sure we save. So we got that taken care of. All right, now we can go back to our player controller. And what we're going to do is add in that mapping context. We're going to do enhanced, let's see, add mapping context. Oops, got to spell add right. That little thing got in the way there. Add mapping context. Okay, I'm going to uncheck that. There we go. Add mapping context. I don't need that event tick, so I'll get rid of that. From our target, I'm going to get enhanced local, let's see, enhanced input local player subsystem. Okay, local player subsystem. That should be it. Let's see. Yep, that's it. Good stuff. Although I need a self here. So what I'm going to do is get a reference to self, and we might go ahead and just pull off here. Let's do the enhanced input local. Okay, let's try that. That's more what we want right there, because we're going to need to get a reference to the self here. So let's get rid of that one. Yeah, sometimes there's doubles of things. We just got to pay attention. Okay, and then we'll get a self. Let's see, let's get a self reference. There we go. Okay, that'll work for us, because we don't necessarily need to add this again to somebody else. We want to make sure we're only adding it to the player that we're on at that time. So, or the player that we're trying to start. So we'll go here, and we're going to set that for IMC default. Compile. Let's go ahead and save everything. And then we're going to go back into our game mode, and from here we'll want to make the game mode spawn the character by adding in a couple nodes here. Like I say, we're in our game mode. You know what? I'm gonna do a little bit of organization here real quick. No, that's fine. I think we can find everything pretty easily there. All right, so off the completed. So like we've just added in another player. We've added in another index here. We're gonna go down here, and we're going to default pawn class. We're going to set it right there. The one we're going to be using for now is BP third person character. And then we're going to, if there's anything there, we're going to restart it. What restart does for us is it actually starts our player. And this also, you know, if they die, then and we're like, hey, we want them to come back, then we're able to use the same thing. And then we want to get the player controller. So just like what we saw before in a previous video where we wanted to make sure we got the right one. Yep, that's the one we want. We want the one with the index 0 there. Okay, and so now the way this is going to work is if we hit compile right now, let's just go ahead and save everything too. This is going to kind of break our camera. Notice it's kind of inside of our player right now. So what we'll need to do is make another little change inside of here. I wanted to kind of bring your attention to that so that, whoops, no, we're still in the game mode. I'll go ahead and pull the details out here. Make sure you're on the self. If you're on the default scenery, you may not get what you need. So let's go over here. And the piece that we're looking for is under the details, under the, oh, actually, sorry, I want to be in the player controller, not the game mode right now. In the player controller, since we're having an issue with the camera following us, what we want to do is up here at the very top, we want to uncheck auto manage active camera target. So what that should do for us is it won't make the camera just jump inside or think that it needs to be inside the character that's being possessed at the time. It'll go back to the camera that we made. Okay, it's not quite doing what we need it to do. Let's see if I'm missing something there. Okay, so the issue with this is that we needed to put the player controller class, we need to change that to our new one, PCCC. Here we go. Hit play, and now we're using our regular player controller. Okay. One thing is a little bit weird right now, and of course we're going to fix that error here in just a little bit. Notice that it's not really making our character run in the right direction. So one thing I'm going to do is go back in here. I'm piloting the camera right now. I want to get this kind of set up in the way we want it to be, right about there. Pull that down. I want to be a little bit closer. Okay, let's hit play. And notice how my character is running up and down. I'm actually pressing left and right. So the positioning of your camera will decide how the controls are going to be set up. So what I probably want to do is actually switch my camera over here. I'm still piloting my camera right now. And what I'm going to do is hit play again. Let's make sure everything's working the way we want to. Okay, now I'm pressing right and it's going left. Okay, so we'll probably need to switch to the opposite side. Go ahead and get rid of that error. I'm going to switch my camera over here. So you might want to check this before you permanently set where you want your camera to be, or where you want your players to be even. All right, so let's try this now. Okay, that's working. Everybody, it's going left and right, up and down, and our camera is situated in the right spot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and escape there, and let's go back to fixing everything up. So, since we have this being managed a little bit differently now, the camera's not, you know, having to possess or be possessed by the player character itself. It's kind of its own thing. We want to probably add in a little bit of a delay on our player character again, or I'm sorry, no, player controller, because just like we saw before, we want to make sure that the player controller has a chance to access a specific player. So we're going to add in a little bit of a delay here. Okay, about 0.2 seconds should be good enough. And we also want to add in that join game now, so that start that we had previously that we just made, that key setup for the enhanced input. So let's go, let's see here. We could probably do this. We probably want to do this in the player controller, I'm thinking. So yeah, let's just do this right here. So we already have event begin play down below that. We're going to do enhanced input action, and we're going to choose join game. There we go. Whoop, that's not quite the one I wanted. Let's do enhanced input action IA, and it should be this event up here actually. That's what we're wanting. Okay, great. That's what we want. And we have a lot of options here. We're probably just going to use started off of this one. So what we want to do here is, if we have a controller that's valid, we don't want to start another one. Like if a controller is already being used, if it's valid, then we don't want to make another character on the same controller. So we want to actually check and see if it's not valid. So to do that, what we're going to do is off this started right here, we're going to do an is valid check. Of course, I have to spell it right. It's going to be this one down here. And then we're going to get the controlled pawn. Get controlled pawn. There we go. On this case, we're not looking necessarily for the index. We're looking for the actual pawn that's being controlled by this controller. So that's the one we want there. The target is controller on that one. And then if it's not valid, like there's not already something that's being used by this controller, we want to go down to restart a character here. Restart player. Okay, and let's just see. We should, yeah, this one. You don't want to necessarily get the can restart. We want to just get the restart player. And we'll need to get the game mode, because it needs to know what we're using for control there. Let's see, get game mode. I think if I do context sensitive, yep, that'll give me what I want. And then for the new player, this is going to be whichever player controller this is connected to. So we're just going to do a self-reference there. Cool. All right, go ahead and compile, and I think that should be pretty much everything. Let's go ahead and test this out real quick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and I'm able to move this guy around without any trouble. I'm going to go ahead and pick up one of my controllers, turn it on because it turned off. And I'm going to hit, let's see, stop flashing. I hit start. Hey, there's a second player. It's being controlled correctly. Now, surprise, surprise, I got a third controller here. I just turned it on. And let's see if I hit start. Hey, I got a third character. All right. So we can actually start adding in all of our characters now. Now we need to differentiate these players. We need to be able to have them have different meshes and all this other kind of stuff. But as far as getting into a little party game and making all these characters move around the way we need them to, that'll be a pretty good start for all of us. Okay, there we go. That's the way we can get all of our characters into our game.